Welcome, welcome everyone to yet another episode of Event TV. So we're excited here in season two. We have had loads and loads of amazing entrepreneurs, speaker, subject matter experts in the industry. And now today we bring you yet another amazing speaker. I am Dr. Shanna Scott, your $1 million event strategist, and I'm so excited that you are here today. And without further delay, I want to bring up our today's guest. Hello, Dr. Shamieka Dean. Hey,
Hello, hello, hello.
how are you?
Amazing. How are you?
Awesome, awesome, awesome. We're so excited that you are here today. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone?
Oh, this is always a question that I'm like, what do I say today? Okay. But I'm
Right.
Shamika Dean. I am a catalyst to catalyst. I am a transformational consultant. I am a wife. I am a mother of three adult children. I have no kids at home. Whoop, whoop.
Empty nesters, yes.
And a grandma of two little princesses. I am also a CEO of my own business, and I don't know what else you want me to say.
No, that's good. That's good. I'm so excited because you are, and of course, we know each other on a client level. We work with each other. We're friends, we're colleagues. And
Mhm.
I know that you do a lot. Your impact in the world is absolutely amazing. So I'm so excited that you are here. And with that, I do want to ask you the first question because
Okay.
you have listed you are a mom, you are a wife, you are a Grammy, and entrepreneur, and you are a huge conduit for Christ.
Mhm.
How do you do it all?
Oh Jesus, that's a loaded one, right?
Loaded.
But my motto, my philosophy in life is rest is the new revenue. And
That's
so I don't just believe in rest as a benefit, I build my life from a foundation of rest. And so everything I do comes from that space. And when I say rest, I don't mean just taking a nap, or a sabbatical. When I say rest, I mean from a posture of trust in God first and moving based on my identity, my being, not from a place of trying to rush to make anything happen, but really living from that posture. And also, my life is set up, to where my business revolves around my life, so that my life doesn't have to revolve around my business. Um,
right.
I prioritize myself in a way that I've set a standard for everyone else around me to also understand that I matter as well. So, my husband respects that there are times when I just need to be by myself. My children respect that there are times when I just need to be by myself. And
Mhm.
that's because that's the standard of prioritizing myself, and no one's offended, no one's, upset or bothered. And they have their own boundaries and their own time. So it's a lifestyle that I created so I don't have to chase, and I don't deal with burnout.
Right, right. So let me ask you this. This is a little devil's advocate question
Mhm.
that I put in there. When people hear about rest, they think about, and the way you speak about rest, people may say, you know what, that's selfish.
Mhm.
We're God's children. We should be about everyone else. So why don't you speak to that for anyone who is really feeling guilty about just taking care of themselves? Well, not taking care of themselves, but just resting and doing all the things, because as you stated before, you have a laundry list of who you are in the world.
Mhm. Mhm.
So share with us a little bit about that.
Sure. So one of the things that I tell people, I even tell my clients this: we are called to serve, not to save. There's only one Savior. His name is Jesus Christ, not Shamika Dean. Okay. Uh, he never sleeps nor slumbers, so that I can't slumber. So I can't. Okay. The same God, that hears my prayers, he hears yours. And not only that, even Jesus had boundaries. He went away from the crowd, to be in
Right.
the presence of his Father. He was not always available. And so just because you're available doesn't mean that you should always be accessible. Right. And
Right.
so I think that what happens is we take the idea of servant to mean self-sacrifice. We are a living sacrifice for God.
Right.
We're not a living sacrifice to people. Right.
Mm.
And so we have to get out of that seat of trying to be the savior to others.
Yes.
We're only as good to others as we are to ourselves first. And he even tells us, love your neighbor as yourself. That means I can't love you properly if I'm not loving me first. If I'm not taking care of myself first, what good am I to you if I'm broken down? What
Right.
good am I to you, if I'm giving you what's left of me and not the best of me, right? And so I always think about, it's crazy that I have my cup of coffee here, but I always think about that first sip of coffee. When you take that first, nobody should be drinking from your cup. They should be benefiting from your overflow. That means you're never depleted. Because when you do that, when you start giving from the fullness of who you are, like pulling from yourself, what happens is now you're operating on fumes. You're toxic. So
Yes.
you're really not giving them the best of you. You're giving them the rest of you. And how good is that actually, in reality? And so we have to change our mindset about what serving looks like. Serving is not sacrificing yourself. Serving is serving from your gifts, your skills, and your abilities. But you cannot do that when you're broken down. We see it all the time, how pastors, they're having heart attacks and strokes and all of these things
Yes.
because we don't understand how we try to become the savior in other people's lives, and that's not what God called us to do.
Right, right. And I love how you position this. And this is why this conversation is so important right now, because a lot of us like
Mhm.
to think that we have to go out and save the world. We put on this, imaginary cape. We see it all on TV, all the people with superpowers, they're standing in front of bullets and all of this. So, yeah, you're absolutely correct. So I appreciate you doing this in this space. And with that being said, you're very, very vocal in this space, very, very visible.
Mhm.
Why? What brings you to, saying, hey, everybody, look, I'm
Mhm.
here to support you, but I'm not here to save you. I'm not standing in front of your bullets. I'm doing it this way. So tell us how you got here. I mean, what brought you here?
Mhm. Um, so I was the superhero in everybody's story. I was the strong one. I was the one everyone called on, but I was the one that nobody checked on, right? I was the one that showed up for every event. I was the one that was there when everyone needed a shoulder to cry on. Um, and while it's admirable, I was also, again, as I said, the one that no one checked on. My phone was dry. When I needed someone, they weren't there. And I will say this, we must take responsibility first for the life that we created, the standard that we set, which I talked about that earlier. I
Right,
set a standard that I didn't need anyone. I set a standard that I was always there for them, but they didn't have to reciprocate that. I set that standard, right? And so I had to make those changes. But what really did it for me um, is when I ended up in the hospital
wow.
and the diagnosis was stress. And the doctor told me, whatever you're doing, if you don't stop, you're going to kill yourself. You have to do something different. And when I was laying in that hospital bed and when I'm hearing the news from the doctors, I wasn't thinking about all the people that I was able to show up for. I was thinking about the people that I was going to leave behind,
Hmm.
right? I was thinking about the life that I hadn't yet lived. I was thinking about how I was so buried in my work and so buried in being everything for everyone else and being nothing to myself. And so that's when rest is the new revenue changed from being a cute catchphrase to a lifestyle that, I now live by and that I'm now helping other high achieving, high performing women, to live by as well.
Right.
Because you have one life and how you live it depends on you. right? I want to be the one that I'm, 60 years old and I'm still able to run around, with my grandchildren. I don't want to be walking around like Fred Sanford because I didn't take care of myself.
Right.
you know so that's how I started on this journey. And as I sat in other communities, masterminds, and I saw other women whose marriages were failing or their relationships with their children were crumbling while they were making millions of dollars,
Mm,
but their life was shrinking, you know,
right.
and my heart broke because I'm just like, this shouldn't be this way,
Right.
And so it just ignited that fire in me to not only figure out how to do it for myself, but how can I help other women do the same thing?
Right. And, rest and revenue sometimes can be perceived as opposites.
Yeah, yeah.
Because,
Counterintuitive.
right. You
Mhm.
know, um, they say, well, if you work hard, you're going to have all the things.
Mhm.
You go out there, someone has set that standard. You work hard, you're going to have everything that you need. But with you coming in and you're saying rest is a new revenue, it is almost um, counterintuitive.
Yes.
So we spoke about the rest part,
Mhm.
and you were very, very clear
Right.
that, about the rest part. What about the revenue part? Where does that come into everything?
Well, the truth is, when you are aligned with your true identity, revenue is attracted to the real you,
Mm,
not the version of you
tell me
that you,
more about that. What do you mean?
because it's really about your identity. A lot of people won't admit this, but the reason they work so hard and hustle so hard is not just about the amount of money that they can make. It's about who the money makes them, or who they believe the money makes them. And so that's why you get into a place where you're willing to sacrifice your health to achieve a certain goal. And the thing is, you're trying to rush to get there.
Right.
But why are you trying to rush to get there if you really believe that this is already yours? Right?
Right.
If you know that wealth is already yours, if you know that wealth is your birthright, right? Why are you in a rush to get there? Why are you not simply focused on just taking aligned action so that you can get to what has already been predestined for you? So then we have to ask ourselves, what is the ammunition behind my ambition? Okay.
Right.
And so when I understand my God given identity, I understand that wealth is my birthright. I don't have to beg for it. I don't have to chase it. I just have to be positioned to get it, right? And I don't have to sacrifice the people that I say I love to get it either,
Right. Or myself.
or myself to get it, right? And so what happens is, the more we unlock who we are, the more we walk into the wealth that's already ours, right? So I don't, when I see people um who live by hard work, I know that they don't understand their true identity in God,
Mm,
right? And so I've even talked about this. There's a difference. How you pursue success has a whole lot to do with how you see God. If you see God as a judge, a harsh ruler that you have to earn and do everything right to get the blessings, you're going to hustle, grind, work hard to make it happen. But
right.
when you see God as your loving father, when you see God again as a father who you already have access to the wealth, you already know you're his child. You're not trying to make anything happen. You're just like, okay, daddy, where I need to go to get it.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I'm not trying to go find anything. I'm not trying to rush and do any. It's already mine.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
so that's that identity piece. And so until we are actually honest, we are seeking to get this and to get there faster because of how we think it's going to make us look in the eyes of other people,
Right.
because we haven't solidified our identity in him yet.
Right. And so with what you and this is good. This is absolutely amazing and so needed. So needed. There's so many of us who are entrepreneurs and experts and genuinely great at what we do, doing a lot, doing the most,
The
you know,
most.
doing the most, and and sacrificing ourselves
Yeah.
uh, for that. And so you are right now in the industry to support high achieving women, to
Hmm.
let them know rest is the new revenue.
Hmm.
So tell us about how do you support, because I know that there's someone out there right now that is exhausted, that is listening to us, that's probably doing two or three things at one time and still got a calendar full of activities that they need to do, that they just probably just raise their hand for, that doesn't necessarily align, but they
Hmm.
want to do God's work. They want to be,
Hmm.
we're surrounded by do-gooders. We all want to do good do-gooders. How can you help us? I gotta insert myself. Lord, because you're talking to me. I'm just gonna be honest. You are talking to me. I just do the most, and Jesus help me.
Yeah. So
right,
the
right after this.
Yeah, so the way that I help women, number one, is helping them to release those beliefs, the belief systems, right? The habits and the things that are actually not benefiting you, but they're actually burdening you, right? Because even when you have the financial success, you're not able to enjoy it because you're always focused on what's the next thing, or you're trying to avoid losing what you've built, like those kind of beliefs. And that's a belief system. It's not a reality. It's simply a belief system that has caused you to attach your identity, your worth, and your value to the things that you're accomplishing. So we have to first be able to release those things first, because if not, nothing else we're going to do is going to work. So it starts there. And then we have to redefine, which is like shifting the way that you see yourself, the way that you see God. Okay. And shifting how you see success. A lot of the success or the ideas of success that we have is based on someone else's blueprint, someone else's definition,
Wow.
because we seen someone. And here's the thing that I really want to drive in. We don't necessarily, it's not the money that we chase, it's the applause, the accolades, and the approval that we think money is going to bring us because we haven't
So
approved
good
of
with words. I'm sorry. Applause, accolades, and
it.
approval. I love these alliterations. Okay.
Yeah, that we're going to
Oh yeah,
get,
rocket.
once we reach this certain pinnacle of
Right.
financial success. And every woman that I've gotten, that I work with, has said when I got there, it didn't feel like I thought it was going to feel, right?
Girl,
But
you're in tears in a
yeah,
second.
I didn't, it didn't feel that way. They still felt unfulfilled. They felt empty. They felt disconnected from themselves. And one of the most heartbreaking things is when they look at the woman in the mirror, they have no idea who she is. Because all this time they've been trying to become a version of someone that the world told them they needed to have the success that was supposed to make them feel a certain kind of way, only to get there and it was not that.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I did hear someone who made $1 billion said that they
Mhm,
climbed that mountain and
mhm,
they got on the top, they hit that billion,
mhm.
and then they were like, what's next?
What's
They
next?
started climbing another mountain.
Mhm. Because what happens is, here's the thing, until you know without a shadow of a doubt that you are enough, nothing you ever accomplish will feel like it's enough. That's
Right.
why you always on to the next thing. That's why you got to reach another goal. You have to get another degree. You have to move the ruler, to another financial milestone, because you're trying to satisfy an internal need with external things. It doesn't work that way.
Mm. It
Okay.
sure doesn't,
It
because
doesn't.
just up and down my timeline and just around me, I see people that are looking to hit six figures. That's our goal.
Hmm. Hmm.
Six figures. Now it's seven
Seven
figures.
figures. Now it's eight
Now
figures. Now it's nine figures.
it's nine figures.
We haven't even identified what's enough.
What?
Because the enoughness that you're seeking is not external. It's not external. And that's why the work that we do is internal, because I understand that the woman within is the woman that's going to show up in the business. That's the woman that's going to show up in the marriage. That's the woman that's going to show up on the stages when she's speaking in those rooms. I want you to be fulfilled. I want you to be whole within, so that you're not having to burn yourself to the ground to get these things, but you can get these things as a byproduct of who you already are, instead of you trying to get these things to feel like who you think you need to be.
Absolutely. So this is so good, and you have me extremely intrigued. And I really didn't think the conversation was going to go here, but I really am appreciative that we had this conversation, because I feel like you're talking to me, and I know if you're talking to me, you're talking to several other women and entrepreneurs that are out there, even men.
Mm-hmm.
But I know you work with primarily women. We hit these goals, and then it's like, okay, I just snatched this goal. What's next? We got to, 20K months. We get to 50K months. We're at 100K months, and we want to get to $1 million a month. And, and it's moving. But you support high achieving women with resting in your revenue, resting in revenue. So tell us now, what I do. I do events. There's some sort of experience, everybody, that's coming up that we don't want to hear about. So tell us, what event do you have to support these ladies, and when and where do we sign up? And I hope I don't have an event that weekend. And also tell us, how can people stay connected, just in case they're hearing this information after this amazing event has happened.
Okay. So they can find me on social media, Shamieka Dean, on all platforms.
All platforms.
The Shamieka Dean Show is my podcast, and then YouTube as well. But as far as the event, I am going to be hosting an intimate event the weekend of October 24th through 26th. So 23rd through 26th, I'm sorry. And it's the Rest is the New Revenue retreat. And this is for my high achieving women. Not that you just want to learn how to rest, but you really want to reconnect to the woman within. You want to realign your life and your business with your authentic self. And you really want to build something that truly speaks to the essence of who you are, and in a way that you can sustain it without sacrificing yourself, your seed, your sanity, or your spouse. And most of all, you can reconnect and strengthen your relationship with God, so that you experience the fulfillment that you really want to, experience. And you can get back to that joy and that peace that you once had, because oftentimes we lose it in our pursuit of success, because we don't realize how disconnected we've gotten from God. And we start doing drive-by prayers, drive-by devotions, and we're not building that intimacy with Him anymore. And so I want to renew that relationship, restore and recalibrate your identity, so that you can now redesign your life accordingly.
Love that. That is so well needed. And I just want to say, first and foremost, thank you for what you do in this world. You are an extremely powerful individual. And I'm excited to be able to have this conversation with you and to hear about all of this, because this is absolutely amazing. And a lot of entrepreneurs are on the back end, and we're trying to hold up the world in this hand and juggle with this hand, and then they got their feet trying to, juggle and hold up. So it is so important. So with that being said, everyone, here is Dr. Shamieka Dean. She is available on all platforms. Here is how you spell her name, so you can ensure that you look her up. She is an influencer. She did not say that on this conversation. She is a social media influencer. She's very, very humble. And we love you, and we're so excited that you are doing what you do.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right, everyone. Until next time, we will see you. All